which accounting software should I go for? This is the question of the day, presented and brought to you by Google's Bookkeepers. Do subscribe, like and share if you enjoy the content. So decisions. Okay, what are you going to do? So first and foremost, if you decide on your accounts software, just make sure that it's compatible with the bank that you go for. And the reason I say that is because not all banks are compatible with all software. So if you've got your heart set, let's say, on banking with a particular bank, just make sure that the account software that you want to go for is compatible with that bank first. It's kind of like a joint kind of sort of decision. We are partners with Tide, which is an online bank. The website is there on the screen, and under their frequently asked questions, they have answered the accountancy software integration. So if you were thinking of choosing Tide, for example, you can have a look on that page and see, is the software that you were thinking of compatible with your bank if you go with Tide. And most of these online banks that have been set up will have a similar sort of page. So do check that out, because sometimes some people have their heart set on a certain bank and there might be software restrictions. Some people might have their heart set on a software and then the banking might be restricted. So just double check that before you go ahead. But what Tide say is that we have integrations with Xero, QuickBooks, Free Agent, Recon One, Cashflow and Sage, with other integrations to follow in the future. So the other point is, just because it might not be integrated now doesn't mean they haven't got plans in the future. They, I'm sure have. But do check on the bank's frequently asked questions page. Now, in terms of accountancy software, there is a lot out there. As previously mentioned, we've got Recon, Cashflow, Sage. And then we have, I would say the probably globally the most popular one is QuickBooks. I think I read somewhere they have 50 million users. Free Agent, which is in a Scottish-based company, which is getting quite big in the UK. I think a good 100,000 users. And then we've got Xero, which is a New Zealand-based company, very big in Australia and New Zealand and around the world. So there's a lot of accounting software out there. So here's a few questions that you need to sort of ask yourself before you make your decision. So popularity is a big one. Who uses it? And in your case, before you make your decision, who will be using it? Will it be you, your bookkeeper, your accountant, your office manager? Who's going to use it? And it's important, I always used to say, with who will be using it, because if you've got the latest trendy software, whatever that might be, and you're looking for a bookkeeper, you might struggle because not many people would have used it at that point. But if you're going to use it, then it's fine. What does your accountant like? Always a good question to ask, because the accountants might have preferences. They might want their data given to them in a certain way, using a certain platform, make their life easier if you use the one that they like. And then think about what your industry uses. Now, back in the day, Sage had an accountants club, probably still does, was very big with accountants. So a lot of accountants would tell their clients to go with Sage. But Sage wasn't really necessarily the easiest software to use on the market at that time. Talking, going back a few years now. So when you then put an advert out for someone who can use the software, you'd actually struggle because, and I've been using software for a long time, not many people are very competent users of Sage. That's just fact. So it can be difficult to find a competent bookkeeper who can use this software. So the easier the software, the easier it is to find someone who can use it, and indeed to use it yourself. Now, there is a lot of software out there, yeah, and you have a plethora of choice. So on here we've got Pando, MYOB, Tally, Taz Software, Pastel, ZipBooks, VT, a whole load of different software out there. What you want to think about is, does that software provide support? Is there a lot of support for the software out there? And if you get stuck, is there training? And this is why I say asking your accountant what they like is handy, because at least then if you are stuck, your accountant will be familiar with it. And if someone else is going to be using it, how easy is it to find someone who can use that software? Because you don't want something that's so obscure that you find it really difficult to get any help if you need it. So is the software being worked on, and what's the support like for it? Now, in terms of QuickBooks, which we've got on the screen, there are 3 options given, and with all of these, I'm just using QuickBooks as one that I read has 50 million users, so I'm sure most people listening to this will be very familiar with it. No doubt the rest of these on the screen have a similar page on their website, and it's their pricing. So in the UK, as at the time of recording, QuickBooks have got an offer whereby Simple Start is normally £12 plus VAT, but at the moment for the first 4 months they're giving you 50% off, so it's £6. Then you've got Essentials at 10, which is normally 20, and then you've got Plus, which is 15 for 4 months, normally 30 plus VAT. And then if you add payroll, it's a standard amount of £4 a month plus £1 per employee if you go for the standard, and if you go for the advanced, it's a little bit more. With all of this software, basically, there's normally more than one option, and just check which level of the software that you need and what it is that you need it to do. So there may be a cost, a monthly fee that you've seen floating around for, let's say, QuickBooks, and you've said, I've seen it at £30 a month, it's very expensive compared to somewhere else that I've seen that was £10 a month. But you must always check, what does it allow you to do versus what the other levels, the tiers allow you to do. So don't just look at the headline price. Always look at what it allows you to do and what you need it to do. So for example, if you need it to do budgeting, you're going to have to go for Plus. If you need it to do multi-currency, you'll have to go for at least Essentials. But if it's somewhat more simple and it's more, for your HMRC preparation because you're a sole trader, then Simple Start is the one. Lots of software out there. What do you need it to do? That's a key question. If it's just for invoicing, then have a look and choose the one that has the nicest invoices. Do you need it for payroll? Have a look. Does it have a payroll option, a payroll add-on? Do you need it for inventory? What perhaps do the people in your industry use? There might be an app that you can add on to the software. I know that QuickBooks and Xero are good when it comes to apps. There's always apps that can be added. So what is it that you need it to do? Do you need it to run the VAT? Do you need it to send invoices? Do you need it to create reports? How often are these reports? Is it every week? Is it every month? What's the reporting functionality like on it? Do you need it to be able to do a budget for you? What about quotes and estimates? So, and multi-currency, because some people are operating in more than one currency. CIS, Construction Industry Scheme. Do you need it to have that sort of specific option and functionality for that sort of stuff? So think, okay, what do you need it to do? And then check out, after doing your due diligence, does it do what you need it to do? There's nothing worse than choosing a software and then realising, the one thing I needed it to do, it doesn't do. With most of these, they now come with an app. So you can download it onto your phone, or you can be looking at it from the desktop. Either way, if they have an app, look at it on your phone. Do you like the app? If you have a desktop and you're looking at the software through your desktop, do you like the interface? Do you understand it? Does it make sense? Is it easy to use? Really, really important, especially if you're the one who's going to be doing the bookkeeping. You want to use something that is user-friendly, basically. And look at the online reviews by all means. Does it are the reviews positive? What do people say about it? Just the overall. Don't go by 1 or 2 reviews, but just generally, what is the feeling for it? Now, just as a disclaimer, I just want to say that I've used them all, so I am familiar with them all. I don't just talk about them. I've used all of them, and I've actually got a course on every single software here that you see on the screen on my website page here. If you look at udemy.com/user/Lisa Newton 3, you will see courses on all of these software, plus QuickBooks and Free Agent and Xero. So I make it my business to use all of them. In addition to that, just to point out that I have relationships with more closer relationships with some more than others. So, for example, with Free Agent, we're a partner, pass the test with them, so I'm a Free Agent practitioner. With Xero, I'm a certified advisor. With Wave, I'm part of their pro network. With QuickBooks, I'm part of their pro advisor gold program, certified advisor, done all of their training. And with Pandal, we are one of their accountant resellers. So there are lots of software out there, and some I've used more than others, but that's just simply because we have a partnership with them. But they all have their strengths and weaknesses. My personal opinion, and like I say, just the disclaimer, I mean, partnerships with some of them, this is what I tend to recommend, because you're on here to see, okay, Lisa, okay, great, there's lots of them out there, can you narrow it down for me? Okay, so with Pandal have a free online version. They're a UK-based company. This was the only one I'd seen that was free and online, and I think that having some sort of online software is really, really useful. So for those people who don't want to spend any money, then yes, they have a free version as well as a paid for version. So when people are really strapped for cash but want something and it's online, I say Pandal, check it out. I also say Wave for that reason. However, Wave is a Canadian software and are withdrawing from the UK market at least, and encouraging everyone to go over to Zoho. So Wave, I particularly really like their invoices. So that's one I would say, but more for the Canadian market. And then if you are in the UK and you bank with either NatWest, RBS, Metal, and Metal is an online bank. So Metal has been introduced to sort of rival these online banks that have come about. So if you bank with either of them, then you get the software Free Agent for free. So I normally ask people, who do you bank with? If they say NatWest, RBS, or if they say I haven't got a bank yet, I'll ask them, are you I don't know, is there a particular bank that you want? If they say no, I'm not fussy, I'll say go for Metal, because you get Free Agent for free. So for those who like their freeness, and there's nothing wrong with that, you know, we've all got to cut back and save where we can, then those are the 3 that I normally recommend first and foremost. And then I say, if you want a little bit more functionality and you can afford at least £10 plus VAT a month, so, you know, I would say Xero. Now, Xero particularly I recommend to designers and creatives. To me, Xero is like ideal for the MacBook user, because to me, people who use Mac tend to be the designers, the creatives. They tend to like things simple, and they tend to like the design of things. So for that reason, I know that they'd love Xero, because Xero, I think even its strapline is beautiful software, something like that. And you know, for those people, Xero is for you. It's got plenty of apps it can integrate with. If you're a bit of a techie type of person, I think Xero really will do it for you. And then for those others, everybody else, I tend to recommend QuickBooks. Particularly, I recommend QuickBooks to charities, anyone who's got reportings to do, because QuickBooks has over 150 reports. They have budgeting reports, and if you've got a report back to a management committee or do any sort of reporting, QuickBooks, I think, really is pretty good for that. For anyone who wants a little bit more functionality, if you're coming more from an account sort of background, I'd say QuickBooks. And a lot of the functions on here I've noticed are starting to be automated, which I like. So you can, but with both of these, you can send invoices that are automated. You can with Free Agent as well. But with QuickBooks, you can automate out reports. So let's say you've got a client, and this is more for the bookkeepers and the accountants out there, and they want a report every week. Instead of having to log in and send them the report and have to remember to do that, you can put in automated report, send out, and it just sends out the reports. One less thing for you to have to remember to do. So and also you can send that to yourself so you can see how the business is doing, and as long as the information on the system is up to date, then the report will be up to date. So I like QuickBooks for that reason. So final thoughts: most of these software, if not all of them, will have a free trial. So I would say test it, have your free trial, take your 14 days, 28 days, however long they give you, and just whatever you decide to do, make sure it makes you happy, particularly if you're using it and you've got to be happy with it. So go for the free trial, use those days, connect it to your bank, have a little play with it, send out an invoice to yourself, see if you like it, fiddle about with it, mess about with it, decide on that. Maybe whittle it down to and just decide. People often think, okay, great, okay, I think I know which one I'm going to go for, but when is the best time to switch? You know, a lot of people think, oh, you know, the effort, the energy, oh my gosh, when shall I do it? I would say the best time to start a new accounting system is at the beginning of your financial year. So if your year end begins in January, start your system in January. If your year end begins in April, start your system in April. Only addition to that is that if you are registered for VAT, then start it from at least the beginning of your VAT period, so that at least you can run one VAT period on a software without having to scrabble about for figures from somewhere else. So if you have any other questions, please do email me via this YouTube or email me on the email on the screen, admin@booglesltd.com. Very happy to answer questions. Gives me something else to record. And, you know, hopefully this has been helpful. Do subscribe, like and share.